Welcome back to the Gun Collective podcast. My name is Jon Patton. A huge thank you to the TGC Patreon supporters for making tonight's show possible. We would love to have you guys on board at the $5 a month level, because not only do you get behind the scenes shenanigans and some early access to content, but you also get automatically thrown into our Gun of the Month Club, where we give away at least one big thing a month to our supporters. This month is a case of 5.56. That's 1,000 rounds of 5.56 ammo and 1,000 rounds of 9mm. One person is going to win that. Huge thank you to everyone that supports us there. Now, tonight, we are joined by someone that I really genuinely have a ton of respect for, and we're going to attempt to get to know him and understand who he is and all that sort of stuff. But in order to do that, I need the assistance from my trusty co-host. Everyone, welcome the mower of lawns, flower bed weeder, and professional kid dropper offer, Johnny Bragg. Johnny, how are you, man?
The tactical soccer van is gassed up and ready to go at any given time. I have Purell hand sanitizer, juice boxes, and an empty seat ready to go. Thanks for having me.
Dude, are you a Capri Sun guy, or have you gone away from that since they got all that nastiness inside of them?
Brother, I am going to go with anything that is single serving for the little guys.
No craps given. Okay, our guest tonight just literally moved into a van down by the river. He's also got one of the fastest growing gun-related channels on YouTube, and generally is one of the most laid-back guys that I know. Talon Sei is here. Talon, how are you, man?
I'm good, dude. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while. We talked about doing this, and
it's about time, right?
Yeah. It took a while, but we're here.
So I want to just square this away right now. We're just going to do this right now. Is Talon your real name?
Yes. So
I feel like so many people are like, oh, that's got to be a stage name. And that you told me that, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was fake too.
Yeah, for the most part, like when I was filming videos, doing unboxings and stuff like that, I would read my name, Talon Sei, on the package, and I'd be like, oh yeah, but they don't know my real name, because I do shorten my name. But yes, my first name is Talon, and I've been telling people that like in person, but I don't really say it in videos. So
now, what you told me, and I don't know if this is something we can get too far into, but you said that type of name is fairly common in your family.
Like nature names. Yeah. So I'm surprised you remember that. I don't remember ever telling you that, but the Sei side of my family, everyone has nature middle names, or I should say most people. So I have like literally probably like 30 something cousins. I don't even know how many cousins I have. And they all have nature middle names like Oak, Fawn, Rain, Steel, Mountain, like all sorts of crazy stuff like that, because our family owns a bunch of mountain land. So
see, when I heard that, I instantly just assumed that it was just a straight up hippie thing, and you're like, nope, not at all.
Yeah,
we are Pennsylvania to the core.
My name actually came from the car, the Eagle Talon, back when I was born in the like early 90s.
I remember those. I knew a bunch of people that drove those.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Mitsubishi Eclipse, I guess, but you see them around every once in a while. But that is where I guess my mom and dad saw the name first, and they're like, yo, let's name him that. So it's kind of cool.
At least that's better than being named after like the Dodge Prowler or something like that.
Yeah, it could have been much worse, like Prius or something like that. That'd be an interesting name.
You could have been named Yugo. That's a no thanks on that.
Oh, wow.
So I want to try and understand kind of who you are as a person, and trying to have that discussion with you. I know you a little bit. Johnny hasn't had as much time to hang out with you as I have. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. So you have a YouTube channel called Talon Sei. What the heck is the channel? Like, how do you describe that to somebody when you're out there going, this is what I do now for a living? How does that work? What do you say?
I actually just posted a video on Instagram last night. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not.
I said, when someone asked me what I do on my YouTube channel, and if you want to check it out, you can find my Instagram, but I walk out of my van, I get on a one wheel, I ride it around my range, draw from concealment while riding it, and start shooting at my targets put my gun away, and then I ride back to the van and get back in the van. So a lot of weird stuff like that. I do electric skateboards and extreme sports. I'm a professional ski boarder in the wintertime.
Did you say professional ski boarder?
Yeah, I actually ride for a company called Revelate Skateboards. Those videos don't do well on my channel for obvious reasons. But yeah, if you look through a lot of my skiing videos, you'll find a whole playlist called Revelate Skateboards, and I do a lot of stuff with them during the winter. So
okay, and you basically just get into a ton of other stuff. So, I mean, that begs the question: how the heck did this become a thing in your life? You're like, this is not a common thing for a lot of folks to want to do and be able to pull off, especially while they have a full-time job like you did for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world made you start this? Like, where did the inspiration come from?
It came from other people on YouTube, everyone on the platform. I was always the kid growing up who would carry on a camera in high school. And even before that, probably like elementary school, I was always playing with cameras. And then it started, man, like shortly after I graduated from college, Penn State University, and I was living in a hotel room in Boston. And I was there for literally like 9 months. I had a couple friends there, but not a whole lot. And I was just getting like cabin fever, consuming a ton of YouTube. So I was watching a lot of like popular vloggers and dudes who do stuff with cars, a few guys in like the gun world. And then I just decided, I was like, man, I'm going to go and buy a camera because I used to make videos. I had an old channel that no one really knows about. I was like, my life's interesting. I am doing this whole like IT consulting thing, which is what I used to do. And I just started from there. I challenged myself to make one video a week to see how long I could do that. And now 3 years in, I have yet to miss a week. Been consistent.
Talon, you said that you did the Penn State thing, and then you just mentioned doing some IT consulting. What was the original plan? Because nobody, when they were 9 years old, said, I'm going to be a YouTuber. What was the original plan?
Nowadays, kids are saying that.
Well, yeah, now people want to unbox stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even like I went into YouTube, not like I just did it for fun, but I never thought that you could make a living out of it. The original plan was just to do the IT consulting thing. I mean, I was traveling around, which was cool. I didn't really have like a 5-year plan. I was just kind of freshly out of college and working on making money and just kind of going with the flow. I never really have like a dedicated set plan, but this just overtook my life, and I'm glad that I took all the steps that I did.
So over the last year, things really, in my opinion, and I think the numbers bear that out, really, really have blown up for you. When did you know that it was going to work? Like, when did you all of a sudden wake up? Was there a moment where you said, all right, this is working, I think I can make a career out of this?
It was pretty gradual because, I mean, I shouldn't say gradual. The growth of the channel was pretty quick for most people on YouTube. But after every between 6 or 9 months, I would legit have to pick up my life and move to a different city. So I started from Penn State. I went to Richmond, Virginia, and then I was back in Pennsylvania. I was in Phoenix, Arizona for a while, Boston, Massachusetts, Miami, Florida, a little place in Jersey. And every 6 months, I would be picking up my life and moving again. And I'm like, man, like I'm starting to make money on YouTube now with AdSense and everything. Maybe after the next time I move, I'll be able to kind of like take it full time. And it wasn't until I think I was just past 100,000 subscribers, I was like, okay, I'm moving now. And like this next one could really be it. And after that, I just kind of went really hard on YouTube, like making more consistent videos and better quality for a while. And then that was kind of when I decided to take the leap.
YouTube is a, sorry, John, I jumped in. Go ahead.
I think it's really interesting because IT consulting is fairly lucrative, at least in my understanding. That's not like a low paying job, especially if they're paying you to relocate every 6 months. I mean, were you an independent contractor, or are you working for a larger company doing that?
I was working for a super large company, like Fortune I think it was like Fortune 200 at the time, multinational IT consulting firm. So at the time I was, what was I, like 23 when I graduated, or 22. I was making more money than a 22 or 23-year-old should be making. Like, I was blessed to have that opportunity and to be making money and stuff like that. And that was a huge part of why I was able to do the things that I was doing on my channel. I mean, at first I was like doing a lot of vlogging and stuff like that, but having that financial stability on my own allowed me to put some of that money into buying firearms and buying camera equipment and other things like that, to grow it to a point where it started to become self-sustained. So the money that I was making from YouTube was going into the equipment that I needed and buying a new computer and stuff like that. So it just kind of grew like that, just like anyone else, really.
So you're talking about being able to pump money into everything and try and grow the channel. But I'm looking at the first video on the channel, it's called Jess's Birthday and Breaking Up Fights.
Yeah.
And this is from 3 years ago. Your beard looks way more gnarly. You have toned the beard down over the years.
Yeah, man, it's springtime. It's short right now, but
and so when you were at this birthday party and you were filming, I mean, was there anything in your brain that ever thought that you could go and legitimately quit the IT consulting thing and, you know, live the life that you're living now? Was that ever even a consideration?
Absolutely not. Like, I was doing that simply to, like, I was making videos with my friends, like in that video, for years before that, like I said, throughout high school and stuff like that. And like, my mindset while doing that was just like, oh, we're going out, we're drinking and partying, and it's my friend's birthday, so like, I'm just gonna try vlogging for the first time. And I was just taking inspiration from other people who I watch on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this is kind of how you do it. And it just so happened that like ridiculous stuff happened that night. It was kind of funny. It was a bad video because I mean, everyone's first video is typically bad, but yeah, I didn't even think about making it a full-time thing until like I started seeing exponential growth. Like, maybe after like 50,000 subscribers, but even then, like, money doesn't always come from just the subscriber numbers. You guys know it's all about the views and stuff like that. So
Talon, I hollered at you back in October, and we were talking about doing some stuff, and you were right in the middle of getting ready to take a trip. And you told me this in October. You said, hey, man, I'm getting ready to head out west. I'll holler at you when I get back. And I said, when are you getting back? And you said, I don't know. And for me, a soccer dad who is tied down, like I am literally tied down to a schedule. Like I don't know what you free spirited millennials. I have a schedule and I've got stuff I have to do. I was like living vicariously through you. I was following Instagram and I'm like, this guy's just out there. And I said, when are you coming home? You're like, I don't know. And so I started following, and like you went from state to state, then you ended up in Mexico, and then you ended up on like some cliff, and you ended up in Vegas, and you ended up in jail and all sorts of stuff.
I don't know about that.
Only part of that's made up. Now, part of it's your lifestyle, part of it is just who you are, and I mean, my gosh, your name is Talon. You're not going to work a 9 to 5. I don't think there's any guy whose name is Talon who's like, you know, walking around with a clipboard. However,
hey, hold on, funny story. I have to interject here. I met a kid at Target at the checkout. I have a picture of him on my phone. First name is Talon. Oh, I was blown away. Continue. Yeah,
I've never really seen that. I don't think.
I'll send you the picture. Go ahead,
John.
Johnny.
I really like that you open the entire show with Talon. Is that your real name? Like, why don't you ever ask me, Johnny? Is that your real name?
Johnny, is that your real name?
Yeah. Now here's the question, because Talon, you're getting to do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's the dopest vlog in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What has, you know, with the success, and I know you're not running around going, hey, I'm a successful YouTuber, but with let me just ask it really simply. What's the coolest thing that this experience has allowed you to do?
Sounds like generic, but honestly, stuff like this. Like, if I
Oh, come on.
No, hold on, hear me out.
Lame-o.
Stuff like this, not the podcast in general, but like meeting
this
new
one sucks.
people. This one sucks. I'm not a super outgoing person. Like, I'm very introverted unless I know you. Like, I mean, John and I, we've hung out a couple times now, and it allows me to travel and meet all of these people who I otherwise would not know. Like, I've met people who I kind of grew up watching their videos, or I can like, we're kind of like coworkers now. We're all on relatively level playing field. So, I mean, the opportunities that YouTube has opened for me is just unreal, and it just keeps growing and growing. So, yeah, that was a bad answer, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
No, I think that's an honest answer. Now, you are low key. I'm a little bit pretty much the opposite of you. Weekend before last, you and I went out on a Thursday night and had dinner together with a couple of our close friends. Had a good time, and I'm spastic and I'm just all over the place, and I was doing my gyrations, and you're like enjoying a meal and like connecting with people. With you having that personality, that's fine. I'm totally fine with everybody having their own personality. I think it's great. And people that are like calm and able to do IT stuff, they confuse me. How is it walking around an event like the NRA and having all sorts of people, all sorts of walks of life? Some people you probably would like to get to know. Some people are a little creepy and, you know, have different variances of their choices of personal hygiene. How has it been getting to interact with people?
NRA show is probably one of my favorites for that reason. Like, SHOT Show, the first time I went, it's great. It's like, it's huge. And if you haven't gone, you got to go. Everyone's there. But NRA show, even the first time I went last year in, where were we? Dallas or somewhere in Texas.
Yeah. Last year was Dallas. This year was Indianapolis.
Yeah. So in Dallas, like, that was the first time where I actually ran into quite a few people who are like, oh, like last year, not in Indy, the year before, they were like, you're that guy from YouTube. You do that like Sunday Gunday thing. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Thanks for watching the videos. And then this past year, when I was with you in Indy with both you guys, it's like a whole nother level. Like, I couldn't walk like 5-10 minutes without someone stopping me and taking a picture. And I love that stuff. Like, the panel event, a lot of people said that I was kind of like, I wasn't talking enough, and they thought I was like dead the whole time.
Dude, the face you were making while you were just listening is the best thing ever. I don't know where the picture is posted, but Talon looks like he is planning
like a robot.
Crime. It's like, bad.
My eyeballs are like bulging.
I thought you were being very polite and allowing other people to speak. And so I'm going to take the other side of that. I thought it was a great showing at the panel, Talon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions, they were for more directed towards other people. But back to your question, being at a show like NRA, it's great. I love running into the people who watch my channel. And like you said, it's kind of like, you don't really know who your demographic is until you run into them in person. And then
is it like, what you expected?
For the most part, yeah. It kind of varies. That's a hard question to answer, but regardless, I appreciate all of them, no matter if it's a weird interaction or if it's just like someone staring at me from across the room. Like, I understand that you're watching my videos and you don't want to say hi. That's cool too, but I'm still just very thankful and appreciative for people who watch.
You know, one of the things that I noticed at shows like NRA that always makes me laugh is when you're walking by like a group of people, and I know you've gotten this, and you hear somebody go, "Oh, hey, that's Talon Sei. Oh, hey, that's a guy. He does videos on the internet," like explaining to the group of friends that he's with who you are, and he's like trying not to geek out over you. "Oh my God, that's Talon Sei. You guys, we should go say hi. Oh my God."
Yeah, that's definitely happened. It's even more awkward, and you've probably gotten this too, when a group comes up, or like a dude and his girlfriend. Most of the time, like, the girlfriends or wives know who you are because their like husbands or boyfriends are playing you on the TV every night or whatever. But the groups of people who come up, there'll be like 3 or 4 guys. There's that one guy who's freaking out because he watches all your videos, and then the other people have no idea who you are, but they'll still like take a picture with you because they like, I don't know, they want to either be respectful or they'll try to figure out who you are. I don't know.
I think it's like a social thing. You know, if one of the guys is excited, they're just like, "Yeah, we'll jump in. I don't really know, but we'll get in anyway because maybe that's a thing later." You know, they just want to be a part of it.
Maybe this dude is some like A-list celebrity somewhere, and I don't know.
I'm going to be in the picture anyway, so I can brag about it later when I understand.
and then they tag me on Instagram. I'm like, that's the guy who doesn't even know who I am, has never seen one of my videos,
but he's excited about it.
That's cool. I'm all right with that.
I want to jump in and say a big hello to everybody in the chat room. All sorts of stuff going on there. David Lofton says that he is a Texas police officer. He's out on patrol and he loves listening to us. Thanks, brother. He says he's really enjoying that. He also did a super chat in there. So on behalf of TGC Surplus, thanks, brother. And there's a lot of folks in there. So a good hello to y'all. If y'all got questions, I'll be checking that. And Izzy is in there as well. So y'all can say stuff in there. All right, Talon, what is next for you? Well, there was somebody asked a minute ago that said, what's the next 5 years going to look like for Talon? Nobody can answer that. So I'm going to change the question. What's coming up this summer?
I can't tell you what I'm doing 5 years from now, man. Let's see. So this summer, I mean, the whole van thing, I kind of explained on my channel, like why I decided to do what I'm doing. For those who don't know, I just purchased a large Sprinter van. It's like a converted RV you can live in. And I'm taking stuff and things, my whole channel and everything that I do on the road. So starting Memorial Day weekend, I have a couple spots planned out down the East Coast. I'm going to be heading to like the Carolinas for a while. I got a wedding and a training event and a convention in Atlanta and a few different people along the way that I'm going to film with. From there, I'm going to Tennessee. So Johnny, I should hit you up.
Preach.
From there, I should be going to Colorado, and I'm just like filming with a bunch of different people. I talk with Mr. Guns and Gear and John Lovell and another buddy of mine out in Colorado. I'm just trying to do what I do, but like make the most out of it. Like you said, like people often say to me, they're like, man, I'm really jealous of what you're doing. Like you get to travel all around and do all this stuff. And it makes me realize like, yeah, this is unique. What I'm doing, not a lot of people can do this. So I'm going to take full advantage of it while I can. I don't have kids. I don't have a house. I don't have anything holding me back. So my decisions just have kind of been getting more and more, I don't want to say like reckless, but like more, they're just becoming bigger jumps, quitting my job and then selling a bunch of my stuff to go and travel around for as long as possible. That's
I
like
said something to you. We were hanging out. I came up. So let me back this up. So Talon was super helpful and brought a bunch of stuff home from the panel for me. So I went over to his place to pick it all up, and we were chit chatting. We went out, had a meal together, and we were talking about the decision to jump in a van and ride around the country. And I'm like, dude, this is not a normal life. This is like, I'm not saying that in a negative way at all. I think it's amazing. And I'm jealous to an extent, like you are literally picking up your life and going all over the country, seeing the best parts and some of the best people on the earth. And you're just freely doing it. And I think that's absolutely amazing. But my question to you is, how does that fit in with the channel? Like you have to produce content in order to keep bringing the revenue in and keep the business going. How does that travel work with creating content? Do you have like set days when you're like on the road and you're like, I got to film this day? Or how are you going to work that kind of scheduling and bring it all together?
I honestly don't really know what it's going to look like yet. I mean, we've talked about this pretty in detail together. Like my, I kind of have structures to my videos. I'll do like product reviews. I'll just do regular vlogs. I'll do Sunday Gunday, which is typically just like a dedicated review of a firearm. But in the past, it's just been like shooting with like yourself and Adam. Like that was a whole Sunday Gunday video. Like I said, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know that there is no shortage of content. Like I have so much stuff, so many opportunities, so many people to film with, so many different things to experience. And I think the reason why I can do it is because from the beginning, once I noticed that my audience started coming to me more and more for gun content, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to pigeonhole myself as the gun guy. So I mean, people who watch my channel religiously, they'll know that I do a lot of other things. Like I just posted like an electric skateboard video. I got another one coming next week, and I purposely make other content because one, it's what I enjoy, and two, I don't want people coming to my channel just thinking I'm all about guns, because that's not what I do. So like on the road, my Sunday gunday structure, it's basically going to turn into shooting with more people, kind of bringing like other YouTubers onto my channel and instructors and people from Instagram and stuff like that, just shooting with them, reviewing their guns. Eventually, I mean, I'm going to have to come back home. Like I have a bunch of firearms on my plate that are like ready to review. I just don't have the time to get around to them before like my next trip comes up.
I mean, you can just leave those with me. I'll just shoot them while you're gone.
Yeah,
keep them warm.
I'll just like hang them on the wall.
So I want to kind of add on to that question. How do you determine, like, what's your actual process to determine what goes into a video and what doesn't? Is it just film a whole bunch and then when you're editing, leave stuff on the cutting room floor, so to speak? Or do you have a plan, like you know what you're going to do that day and you have an idea of what's going to go into the, like, how do you do that? Obviously Sunday Gunday is, and the product reviews are pretty cut and dry. Like that's a simple thing, but
yeah,
you're doing the vlogging type content. How do you decide, okay, this is good, definitely going to go in the video versus not?
I mean, so the answer to that is basically one of the reasons why I've been in control of my content for so long. Like I do everything from start to finish. I run my website, do my emails, I film, I edit, I do everything all myself. And the reason for that being, like, the reason I have never hired an editor is because as I'm filming stuff for just like like, I'm assuming you're talking about like a normal vlog, like
yeah,
going around national parks, exploring and stuff like that. As I'm filming it, like I know what is going to look good. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a cool shot, or I know what type of music like fits the vibe for the day. And
so you're kind of building the video as you're shooting, right? Is that what you're saying?
Like there have been a few times where I'm trying to make a video for a day and just like nothing exciting happens, or none of the shots are coming out. Like I can't piece it together in my head as it's happening. So some of those videos just died completely. For the most part though, even if it's not like super crazy exciting, like no video is going to be like a viral video every time you make one. So for the most part, I'm just sharing my life, like, hey, this is what we did today. Not that exciting, but I know some people out there watch my channel like a TV show. They watch TGC News like a news channel. Like it's a reoccurring thing that people make us a part of their lives. So some people are going to appreciate that. Other people will skip over the videos completely, and that's fine too. So yeah,
super interesting, man. So we've talked about a lot of different stuff, but real quick, I want to do our kind of halftime show and give a shout out to the people that support us and make this show possible over at the TGC Patreon. You can get in for as little as $1 a month to support what we do here at the Gun Collective. Or if you get in at $5 or more a month, you get automatically entered into the Gun of the Month Club, where we give away guns, gear, ammo, etc. This month, we are giving away 1,000 rounds of 5.56 and 1,000 rounds of 9mm ammunition to a single person. One person is going to win 2,000 total rounds of ammo. And guys, it's really, really exciting. And genuinely, that is how we are able to continue producing the podcast. And I seriously do appreciate it. So if you want to get involved in that and see all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, go over to patreon.com/The Gun Collective and get yourself signed up. Now, we've got some questions here from the live audience. We've also got some questions from TGC Nation. But I want to ask you one thing kind of before we get there. Everybody generally in this audience is going to know you for Sunday Gunday, the thing that some people have accused you of stealing that term and like, oh, that's not your thing. Like you never said it was. Either way, the thing I want to know about is how the heck did you get into being one of the top reviewers of electric skateboards on YouTube? How did that happen?
That is a weird thing. So like when when I was living in Boston, right when I started my channel, I owned my first electric skateboard. I still have it. I think you saw it the other night. I have literally like 1,000 miles on it because when I was living up there in the hotel room, I didn't have a car. I mean, Boston is a pretty small city, so I could get everywhere on an electric skateboard. And I did a couple videos with it, and then trying to think of when it really took off. Probably when I moved to Miami. So about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I moved to Miami when I was still working the IT job, and I bought another electric skateboard. I did a video on that. And then by that time, my channel was probably already at like 150,000 subscribers.
Oh my goodness.
And I basically have a structure when I review things. Like I don't like to kill people with specs. Same way with firearms. Like I just kind of leave it pretty cut and dry up front. Like I'll put the important information out there, and I use that structure to review other things as well. So I do the electric skateboards, very similar to that. And once I reviewed the second one, a lot of companies caught on. They're like, oh, look at this review. It got X amount of views. He has a bunch of subscribers. Let's send him a skateboard, because that's how it works on YouTube. That's what people think anyway. So next thing you know, jumping forward like a couple months, I have like 12 skateboards in a 200 square foot studio apartment in the heart of Miami. And that's all I do. I review skateboard after skateboard, and I'm still doing it now. It's become like a big part of the channel. That's, I mean, you saw a good amount of the boards that I have right now. And believe it or not, that's where some of my subscribers are only subscribed to the channel for. They're looking for electric skateboard stuff. So that's kind of how I got onto that.
I mean, it's funny because that sounds pretty cut and dry to those of us that do this, but it's so interesting. You're just like, hey, I'm going to review this thing I use all the time. Johnny, have you ever ridden an electric skateboard?
I have not. Like, I'm old as dirt. And so we rode skateboards. I took a skateboard every single day in 5th and 6th grade, took to school. So, I mean, it was like strapped to my body. I grew up on a gravel driveway, so I could really only skate at school. And so, but by the time the electric stuff was down, like my knees are creaky and crackety. Have I ridden them vicariously through Talon? Yeah, a gazillion times. That one-wheeled thing looks fantastic. I saw him riding that off-road the other day. He's riding through a field, and I think yesterday, and I thought, for like 2 seconds, I thought, I need one of those. And then I thought about what it would feel like to snap a hip. And so I decided not to.
Yeah.
Talon, let me ask you this. You've met a lot of people now, and you are getting, because of your now mobility in the Sprinter van, who's one of the coolest YouTubers you have met? If you had anybody that's kind of stood out to you, because we only get to see a lot of these guys on screen, but you're all over the place. Who have you met that's kind of stood out for you?
It's hard to say because most YouTubers who I meet are just like briefly in passing. So honestly, John, you're probably one of the bigger YouTubers who I talk to on a daily basis. I mean, we've hung out like all last weekend and everything.
Yay, I'm special.
Other than that, I have a friend out in Colorado. His name is Mike, or people know him by Last Line of Defense on YouTube. We've hung out with him a couple times at NRA show the previous year in Texas. He's a good buddy of mine, so I'm going to be visiting him once I'm out there. And I mean, a lot of people on the panel too. Like John was a super nice guy. That was my first time actually meeting him when we were on the panel together. And yeah, it's cool. I'm hoping to become friends with more YouTubers as the time goes on.
I can hear the sound of YouTubers clicking everywhere trying to find your email address, saying, hey, if you've got taking applications for friends, I'm sure that everybody's yeah, I want to be dope also. I don't even have a friend. You're my only friend that can even use the word dope in a sentence and it sounds cool. So you said, you're like, yeah, I was choosing the music that had the right vibe. I'm like, I don't even know anybody that even talks like that. I'm like, hello, fellow kids. And
yeah, people think that I'm like a hippie or like I smoke weed or stuff like that. I don't know. I think I talk the way I talk because of my skiing background. Like I'm always hanging out around mountains and stuff like that, and everyone kind of talks like a like you smoke a lot of weed, which I do not.
No, I'm sitting out.
I'm
I'm out doing a video, and I'm like, "What's the music going to be?" And I hear like this plucking banjo sound coming through, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's really dope right there, boys. That's got some good vibs. That's got some good vibs."
I'm really vibbing on this one.
I'm vibbing all over the place with this acoustic banjo.
You hear some what's that movie?
I'm not saying it.
Deliverance,
I can say it. I'm from the north. I'm allowed. That's part of my hood pass for the South.
All right. So, I like Nashville though. I like Tennessee.
Nashville.
I
like Tennessee. I like Tennessee. Yeah, I like Nashville and those skyscrapers. Yeah.
Smoky Mountains were good too. I was there the other weekend. That was nice too.
So yeah, I want to dive into the videos a little bit more because there's such a wide variety of stuff on the channel. And I'm looking back through the old stuff because I think that's always fun to kind of reminisce.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you, of all of the stuff that you've done, two questions here. Which video do you feel is the most important, and which one was the most fun to produce?
Two of them come to mind right away. If I actually was like looking through my collection of videos, I would probably have a better idea. I think I'm actually coming up on like 500 total videos and 400 since I changed the name of like the whole series. But definitely the most important was one that I was not planning on really doing anything crazy with, but I had started a Gucci Glock build when I was I don't even know how old I was, but I sent out my frame and I sent out a slide, and it took like a year to get the stuff back because that's just how it worked. And this was right around the time when they started becoming very popular. So I put together my infamous 19 build that everyone probably knows me for. And I was sick the morning that I filmed the video. I legit stood in front of my camera like this with a light on. And I was like, I think I may have shot like 5 rounds in the whole video, just like a test fire. And I was like, yeah, here's my custom Glock 19. This is what I did to it. This is why. These are the different companies. And that was it. Next thing you know, that video blows up out of nowhere. And I gain like 1,000 subscribers a day, 5,000 subscribers a day. And that was like my first viral video. It has like 8.2 million views now or something crazy like that. So that one is definitely most important because it showed me what viral can do and how it can bring an audience. And then at the time it was like, okay, people want to see this stuff. So how can I satisfy that? Like, how do I keep them here? And I knew I didn't want to do gun content only. Like I said, I'm not trying to pigeonhole myself. So if you look at the first Sunday Gunday video, I said in the video, I'm like, so I have this idea. A lot of you guys are here for gun stuff. Why don't I start a dedicated day of the week that I do these videos, and I'll call it Sunday Gunday. And that's it. That's how that stuck. So that was kind of the one that is most important to me.
I think that's actually the video that led me to you. It popped up in my recommended, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then I go down the rabbit hole and find that you're in Pennsylvania, really not that far away from me. And I'm like, this dude's going to be my buddy. So here's the other thing. I want to know which video was the most fun to produce of all of the almost 500 videos, however many you have at this point. Which one was the most fun to produce?
The first one for this, for that criteria that comes to mind, it probably has like maybe 2,000 views. I don't even remember the name of the video, but it was called like Thanksgiving Eve or something like that.
Why was that one the most fun? Like what about that stood out to you or stands out?
Just like one portion of the video, what happened was it was just like a normal vlog with my friends, and we don't like play pranks on each other or anything like that very often. But my one friend despises the gas station and food chain, I guess if you call it that, Rudders. I know you guys have Rudders down by you.
Yeah, a little bit.
And he also hates Schweppes ginger ale, but he loves this is so dumb, but he loves Canada Dry because it's the only ginger ale made with 100% real ginger. And he's just like, he was doing my podcast with me for a while and still does every once in a while. He's just like, just the way he is. He's very set in his ways, and he's like, F this, F that, whatever. I don't like rudders. I don't like Schweppes. So in the video, I go to Sheetz and I grab a Sheetz bag and then I go to Rudders. And when I go to Rudders, I buy ginger ale, I buy Schweppes, and I buy the other Canada Dry. I swap them out. I buy some food from Rudders and I put it in a Sheetz bag. And then we come back here to where I'm filming this now. And he eats the stuff and he drinks it. And he's like, oh, that's the greatest thing ever. I love Sheetz. I love Canada Dry. And then I showed him what we did in the same video. I edited it, played it back to him, and he just like lost his mind and was freaking out and screaming and stuff like that. So it like that was probably the most fun thing to do, and it was super dumb.
I love it, man. It's always fun to bust your buddy's stones, and that is the classic kind of nonsense that you got to do to your buddies. Always mess with them, poke their buttons.
Yep,
that's how you keep each other sane. We got another super chat here. I want to give a shout out to Crazy Ivan 2X says he's getting a Mac 11. If you could have one gun, what is it? Johnny, why don't you go first on this one? One gun, what do you pick?
I don't know, because guys get so serious. Is it going to be for the bug out bag? Or if somebody any guy who says the word bug out bag in a sentence, like we're not going to be friends. And I'm not going to sit and go, it's got stopping power for the apocalypse. And like, good Lord, calm yourself down. Probably for me, it's going to be the Jericho 941 because it's fun at the range. There's a couple creeping up there. I think by the end of this year, that's going to change. But for me, it's a Jericho 941. Talon, one gun. What's it going to be?
Same thing. Like it all depends on what it's for and stuff like that. I typically gravitate towards guns that I carry. So something that's like polymer frame, for the most part, double stack. And recently, this one has been in my waistband, the Archon Type B. This is one of those guns that it's a great EDC gun for me. I love a lot of things about it, but at the same time, it's fun to shoot at the range. It's not just like I also like the Glock 43 and the 43X, but they're not the most fun guns to shoot on the range because there's small mag capacity and they're really snappy. This is a gun that I've been liking a lot lately, but you could ask me that question tomorrow and it would be something completely different. So
I'm going to steal my answer from John Lovell at the TGC panel. I'm going to say a Mark 19. And for those that don't know, a Mark 19 is a belt-fed grenade launcher. So, that's what we're going to do. Johnny, I think it's time to do some questions. What do you think? Should we do that? Should we jump in and get some questions going?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to grab some. So I asked the people in TGC Nation on Facebook, I asked them to throw some questions out. We're all just going to have some fun and answer these to the best of our knowledge. Nick Chan says, how is the van life treating you? Now, before you answer, I want to say let's try and keep these answers to like 30 seconds at most so we can try to get a whole bunch of them answered for the people at home.
Got it. Van life is good. I've never actually said that. I'm not using the hashtag or anything, but people are going to do it anyway. Episode 400 next Thursday, I'm giving everyone a walk around of the van. So stay tuned to the channel and you'll see the inside of it then.
Johnny, how's van life treating you?
Van life for me has come to a conclusion. About a year ago, we sold the Honda Odyssey and I am now down to a 2-door for the first time. And van life right now is French fry in the back seat free.
Heck yeah.
That's good, man. I made the mistake. I had like a 20-pound bag of dog food on the back seat and it fell and was literally entirely all over the back seat or the back floor of my car. Asked Talon, he saw it with his own eyes.
Yeah, it was.
I said, "There's dog food everywhere," and he's like, "Ha ha ha!" And then he looks, he's like, "No, wow, it's everywhere."
And you said you cleaned most of it up too.
I took like 10 pounds of it out of the car already, and it's still everywhere.
Yeah, and to that I say you are a sweet child of summer. So people, John texts me with a pile. It's dry dog food. The parents out there are totally going to get this. It's clean, dry dog food dumped onto a plastic foot protector in the back seat of his vehicle. What the frickin' do? I don't even understand. Like, you guys who have yet to procreate or spread your seed have yet to understand what's going to be piling up in the back seat. There's going to be a concoction of goo, apple juices and juicy fruits and all sorts of French fries all piled down in there. If your big problem is dry dog food, you ain't got a problem.
I'm good on all that. That ain't happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna do that, and I also don't know that like I've always been a car guy, and having a clean car makes me feel good. And I know Talon can at least relate to this. We have both had STIs at one point in our life. The car, not the infection. And
gotcha.
Yeah. He's also got the gun, but having all that crap all in the car just like scrapes at the back of my brain all night. All right, so let's get to a couple more questions. Somebody asked, and Talon, you'll have to answer this one. Are you going to do a testes episode? Me and you, I guess, and maybe you and Johnny. I don't know what is testes.
Dude, I completely forgot about that. That was it's like a dumb segment that I created during one of my skiing trips 2 years ago when I was out in California with some other guys from the team. We were talking about how really dumb things can like get really popular on YouTube, like someone sitting and staring into a camera, or like you were talking about, like you have a friend who does train videos, just trains driving by. So I was like, let's start a new segment on my channel where we just eat random things, and we're gonna call it Testes Food Reviews, like spelled TESTIES, and we just kept them real short, like 10 seconds to like a minute long. We would just eat something ridiculous, and then that was it. So if you want to be a guest on Testes sometime, we should have done that in Indy. I didn't even think about it, but you are more than welcome, both of you guys.
I feel like we have to go find some classic, nasty, like Amish food, like some real like lard and sugar heavy stuff, and just sit down and have simultaneous heart attacks.
There's actually a Testes YouTube channel. I started cutting them out of my videos and I upload them on a separate channel, which I don't even really like promote or tell people about. But if you search Testes Food Reviews, I think it'll come up pretty sure.
Johnny, if you could pick a food to test with Talon Sei, what would it be?
It'd probably be something pretty typical Appalachian, like maybe some pickled eggs and pepper, maybe with some saltine crackers.
Haven't done that. Yeah, we could do that for sure. That's the thing. Like we try to make it like a theme of like where we're at or what we're doing and stuff like that. So cool.
That sounds heavily laden in salt.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
I just want to acknowledge this because there's nothing I dislike more in this world than low-hanging fruit comedy. Like don't tell the guy named Forrest Run. I will murder you verbally. I am so proud of us three that we just had a 47-second conversation about a show named Testes and we didn't chase it. Let's keep moving.
That's the point.
Yeah. So this one is from the live chat. Johnny, do you have the notes up right now?
The notes, I deleted the notes, but I can go find them.
I got
all right, don't worry about it.
I have the chat up.
I was just going to try and get some questions from the chat. So if you find a good one, read it out. I'll read one. Michael Peter says, I have a question for everyone. How did you guys start doing YouTube? We talked a little bit about that with Talon. I think we can simplify that question. What was the thing that made you say to yourself, I want to do this. I don't care. Like you said, you had done videos and you said you had been down that road. Was there like a defining moment when you're like, yeah, this is, because at one point you make a decision to go forward with this concept. Mm-hmm. Why YouTube? Why not some other form of social media? I mean, you're a young guy. Why not Vine or some other thing? Like why YouTube?
I mean, it just goes back to like being in that hotel room. Instead of talking to myself, I started talking to a camera. I watched people do it like day in and day out. I was consuming so much YouTube. So I had the background in I was making like music covers. I play a bunch of different instruments. So I was doing guitar covers and drum covers. So I had the background. I knew how to make videos. And I was like, I'm just going to start fresh, start a new channel with just my name. And I'm just going to put my hobbies and interests up there. So it's as simple as that.
I think I might try to do that, but I have this idea where I do like a weekly gun news show, and I'm gonna try to do that for a while, and then maybe get some gun law stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it'll work. Johnny, how did you what made you take the leap to do YouTube specifically?
50% for me was watching it, and the same as Talon just said, I watched it. I said, hey boys, I could do that. And literally, like, this is going to sound like a punchline. It's not a punchline. The other 50% was to get free stuff in the mail.
and that genuinely works. It's funny because I think a lot of guys don't realize how simple it is. Johnny, you from day one, I mean, I think I linked up with you a few months into your YouTube career, and you were well on your way to acquiring free stuff, a part of the free crap army. And I think it's really interesting. It's very, very simple to get free stuff. But I think what a lot of the newer YouTubers do, and there are some out there watching, I think what a lot of guys end up doing is they go instantly to the top of the list, the top tier of companies, and they go, hey, Smith & Wesson, can you send me 5 guns or something? Or I'm thinking about doing a YouTube channel. Would you send me a gun? Like looking for confirmation. Like, dude, you, Johnny, got it right by starting with some of the easier guys to work with and help them build. And from there, you built.
January 1st of 2017, I sat down for 7 straight hours and emailed companies. And like, this is not my first go around in marketing. Like YouTube was new to me, but the idea of marketing was not. And so I worked with a lot of companies, like just holster stuff and gun loop stuff, and really try to produce value back to them. And what's interesting to me is, I mean, we're talking dozens of companies. I was the first YouTuber they ever worked with. And all of a sudden I produce a video, lower quality. I mean, I was just getting going, but they would put me on their website. And so it ended up paying off. I'm on a ton of people's Amazons. And so they just had these quick 1 or 2 minute videos with me talking about their product. And so, yeah, I didn't like get on day one and email Daniel Defense. No, I was emailing like gun lube, like generic gun lube from Canada.
Yeah. To chime in on that too, a lot of people, they get the wrong impression. They get mad that people like us, we get free stuff all the time. But I think Kit Badger did a video on this, or someone had sent me something that he said about it. It's not like that, oh, we just get this gun for free. We put in time and effort and resources of our own for years to make content and produce stuff that is watchable on a regular basis, and we put in the hours. I can't even tell you how many hours I've put into YouTube, and we've built an audience to show the things that we enjoy, and that obviously comes at a price. A lot of people think that it's just free, and I mean, it does seem like free stuff, but if you really take a step back and look at it, it's like, this is something that I earned because I have proven myself. And I think that really gets lost a lot of the time.
I especially love, at least over the last, I don't know, year or so, when this anti-shill army thing, I don't know what the hell's going on half the time, but that has come, into the forefront a lot more than it used to be. And there are people that are like, well, you've sold out. Like, bro, I've been working at this for the better part of 10 years. Sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. Literally, I started doing, me personally, like I started doing YouTube stuff in 2009. We are approaching, I think I got quote unquote serious about it in 2010. I'm approaching 10 years of doing this. It's absurd. It's so funny. What was this is a question from me, Talon, and Johnny, you can jump on this too. What is the biggest company that you were kind of surprised reached out to you to work together? Like, these brands start to pay attention. You don't always know who's watching and paying attention. When like, can you name an instance where a company reached out to you and were like, oh crap, that's awesome. Somebody reached out to you to work together. Who was it?
I have to think about this. Johnny, you can take it if you can think of anything.
I think for me, the very first one, because, and I love your point, and Talon said this so well. Like, I got a rifle in the other day, and somebody's like, wow, you got a whole rifle kit. Like, it's a box, and it's everything with 600 rounds of ammo. And I paid nothing for it, not even the shipping. And somebody's like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I will probably have between 20 and 30 hours into this project by the time it's all said and done, plus all of the time just to build those relationships over the last year. It is a major undertaking. So it's a really big deal. I think that for me, the very first one is out of nowhere. Henry Rifles emailed, and the first email said, hey, we love, because I did something dumb with their coffee cup. And talked about how crappy their coffee mug was, and because it is, and I still have a problem with that mug. And they emailed and they said, we love your mug video. Send us an FFL. We're sending you a rifle. And I just I could not believe it. No strings attached. And of course I've done reviews and got them some value back on that product. So for me, it was Henry Rifles.
That's interesting. Talon, do you have an answer?
For me, so I'm kind of different from Johnny, and John, if you did this too, I've never, like, even when my channel was small, I never actually reached out to anyone. Like, I was never like, hey, look, I have a YouTube channel. I would love to review your product. The first time it ever happened, I did take the deal. I was doing a GoPro video, and the video just kind of went like semi-viral. It got like a couple 100,000 views, and a company reached out. They're like, hey, we make this battery pack. Would you want to review it? And I was like, oh my God, is this how YouTubers like get free stuff? And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Did I unlock the secrets?
And dude, I made like a 10-minute video on this dumb little battery pack thing, and I took it so seriously and like sent them the video.
But it pays off.
And then that was it. Yeah, you're right, it does. But I see the most value when I'm showing products that I truly enjoy. So like things that I am okay with spending my money on. And then like the wallets that I use, for an example, Travax, they make a lot of really good products, and I stand by them because I use them. I buy them. Like, this is something that I use. I was making videos on their stuff, and then they reached out to me. So that's kind of like how I like building relationships. One of the bigger ones, like Henry was one for me too. They reached out to me and they're like, hey, we love your channel. We'd love to send you some rifles. I'm like, okay, like no strings attached, no payment. I'm always looking for guns to review. So I was like, hell yeah. And then in the video, I'm just like, thanks to Henry for sending this out. Another one was Smith & Wesson. I did a review on one of their Gen 1 M&P 9s, and I was like, yo, this thing is garbage. Like, the trigger is bad, blah, blah, blah. And then they went through some kind of restructure where they were reaching out to people like myself. And same thing, they DM'd me on Instagram, and they're like, hey, we love your stuff. I was wondering if you had time for a phone call. And then next thing I know, they sent out one of their pistols, a newer one. It was a 2.0, and I shot it. And I loved it, like completely, like no expectations. They're not paying me. And now to this day, like I have a good relationship with them. I always hang out at their booth whenever I see them at shows. And it's one of the guns that I shoot best out of like polymer pistols. So
well, that's a good one to get hooked up with, because they've got everything under the sun.
Yeah. And a bunch of sister companies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. It's freaking cool. I'll jump in. Mine was ages and ages ago. And I'll wrap around to it, but it was Beretta. Beretta reached out to me very early on my old channel. I went and bought a Beretta A400 Excel at a shop that I recently visited on my way to Indianapolis, and they were like, "Hey, we saw your review. We'd like to send you more. Do you want to do stuff?" So we that was like my first instance into trying to understand bigger brands, and I was so green at the time. I went back to that shop on the way to Indy, and the guy said to me, now this is back years ago, and he goes, I still get people talking to me about that video. And they didn't, I literally went, bought it at retail price, and the guy's like, I mentioned them because I was excited about it. And the guy's like, yeah, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, and that sort of thing, just providing value is such a big deal. So we're winding down on time, but I've got one more question that I want to ask you, Talon. This is from Michael Peters in the live chat. What advice do you have for people who want to start making YouTube videos?
This is going to be another one of those kind of generic answers, but the best advice is to just do it. And I'm sure both of you guys can relate to this too. You have so many people. I have so many people that come up to me and they're like, they figure out what I'm doing. They're like, oh, you just like make YouTube videos and that's what you do for a living? They're like, oh yeah, I had this idea one time. Like I thought about doing that, and they don't do it. They just don't do it. It's so simple. You have a camera in your phone that you carry around all the time. A lot of people start their YouTube channels through a cell phone. You can upload right from there. The thing is, so many people get wrapped up in the idea of you need this equipment, you need to have a structure, you need to do this and that. No, you don't. Go back and watch my first video. It's terrible. I'm using like music that is copyright and like all of this it's his bad production. I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it, but I did it. And then I told myself I was going to do it once a week for as long as possible. And that's what I did. Haven't missed a week since. And you're not going to see any return unless you actually do something. Just throw stuff at the wall and something will eventually stick. So
that's a great point. Great point. So we're going to do one more question, and this one comes from Izzy, our editor. He asked this in the TGC Nation Facebook group. How do you plan to deal with the issues of interstate travel with firearms?
Ooh, so a lot of people have been asking me this.
Yeah, it's a big question.
Yeah, I've kind of been thinking about it as far as what I would say to people. Obviously, super situational. You have to know where you're going. You have to know the laws of the places you are passing through on your route to where you're going. For the most part, as long as you have things locked up, ammo separate from firearms and things like that, you should be okay. There should be no reason for a police officer to pull me over and then ask to search my van, because unless you're doing something really stupid and you're being sketchy, I'm okay with talking with people and very respectful of police officers and stuff like that. So it should never get to that point, but just a lot of research and keeping things separate. Magazines you got to be careful with, which is super dumb, but that's a hard topic to handle for sure.
Well, I think that's a complex issue, and there's a lot of different nuances to that. And I know nuance is one of Johnny's favorite things. Johnny, is there anything you want to talk to Talon about before we bounce out of here tonight? We have a couple more minutes. What do you think, man? Anything you want to ask him?
Talon, let's talk about the current state of YouTube. Now, I know there is a rule among YouTubers. We don't watch each other's content. Like most gun guys on YouTube, they don't watch other gun channels just because we try to get away from that. Mm-hmm. What is something right now that needs to change within our culture from maybe a 30,000 foot looking down? You're really plugged in. What needs to change?
This is something that someone asked a question similar to this on the panel, and I actually said this to John. I just didn't chime in because a lot of people were throwing in their input. One thing that needs to change is the toxicity of the community. So it's a problem amongst a lot of people, or a lot of communities, I should say, but the gun community, especially on YouTube, as soon as people are hiding behind the anonymity of the internet, it releases this disgusting form of the person that they would not normally say things or do things in person. So there's just a lot of people just don't understand that they take themselves too seriously. The whole keyboard warrior thing kind of comes to mind. I don't have a resolution for it. I just try to make my content and structure it in a way letting people know that I'm just some average dude on the internet. I'm not a professional. This is all a learning experience for me, and I'm just telling you guys what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking as I go along. And it sucks because I love the gun community, and at the same time, when you have that anonymousness of the internet, it's just really bad. So I think that's one of the biggest problems right now.
I think it's interesting because John and I we send a lot of texts back and forth trying to make each other giggle, and we do a lot of screen grabs of interacting with followers. And one thing that I've learned from John is that he regularly, and that's John, I know there's a lot of Johns in the game, but Jon Patton, some of y'all know him, is he regularly, when people are like, oh, you're just a big moron and you're just a shill, you're just a sellout, he just engages them like a person. Hey man, thanks for watching. Why do you say that? And they immediately, bam, they turn on a dime. There was one I saw the other day that was John Hickok and Son's, his son. Mm-hmm. And somebody was like, y'all are shills, you're sellouts, you're NRA. And it was nasty, vile, just horrible. And John goes just really nice underneath it. Hey man, I'm sorry you feel that way. Can we have a conversation? And the guy wrote this book. Oh man, I was just venting. As soon as it went from anonymous to personal, he said, man, I was venting. I really respect you guys. I've watched y'all for 5 years. I love you. And I think to your point, anonymous versus personal is a big game changer. John, what are you seeing in that?
I mean that you have to try and diffuse that scenario. I think a lot of the larger channels do a piss poor job of communicating with their audience through actual interactions. You know, they rely strictly on the videos to communicate. They're like, you all this, and then they don't actually get into comments or on social media and try to have conversations with people. And it's very difficult. Like, let's be fair to those guys as well. When you have an audience, when you have an audience over 10,000 people, it starts to get challenging to talk to everybody.
Thank you for including me in that number. I really appreciate that. I get to be a part of this conversation. It's
extremely time consuming, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally spend your entire day responding to everybody's comments, but the key is to try and be a part of the conversation that you start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that I feel like a lot of guys just miss out on, and I would love to see our creator community do a better job of that. And the other thing I would like to see us do is to stop just throwing crap at each other. You know, I've been, because of the position that I put myself in, kind of as a centrist in certain ways. I try to be friendly to all types. I feel like in some instances that's kind of put a target on my back. And I feel like a lot of people are very upset with some of the decisions that I've made and some of the things that I've said because I don't pander to every group out there. And I think it's been really interesting seeing who steps up and who is projecting their own insecurities towards me when all I'm trying to do is grow a community and be a part of a community. I think that's the thing that we're dealing with, a lot of egos. You know, people say the alpha type in the gun industry. That's irrelevant. We're dealing with egos, and when you are dealing with egos and making somebody feel like they don't matter, even if it's indirectly, like I don't intentionally do that, but people take their own insecurities and then spin it around and shout at me about how I am trying to do something without them. It's like, no. You weren't even part of my discussion. This is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. And I think we all just need to try and put our own egos aside, me included, and just, you know, be real with each other and be the community that we always talk about being a part of. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Good. All right, Talon, is there anything you want to say to our audience, the TGC audience, before we wrap up tonight?
I think you guys got a lot of it. I wish, kind of going off the last thing we talked about, I wish I could talk with all of you. Obviously, that's not possible because it is super time consuming. I do try to reply to comments. My DMs are terrible, so if you message me anywhere, chances are I really won't get back to you. But I say it all the time. A lot of us say it all the time, but can't thank the community enough. Although there are some bad people out there, one good comment should typically outweigh 10 bad comments. Unfortunately, it gets in people's heads and it doesn't all the time. But yeah, I just really appreciate everyone who does watch my channel and who understands what I'm doing and how, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I'm treating YouTube as social media because that's, to me, is kind of what it is. I'm just putting my life out there. Nothing I do is set in stone. I'm not here to tell anyone how to live their lives or whatever. I'm just doing it for the entertainment purposes. And without everyone out there watching, I wouldn't be here doing what I am. So thank you to everyone out there.
So tell people where they can find your channel. If they're not already subscribed, we want to make sure that they do that. Where do they go to do that?
You go to youtube.com/Talon Sei. I'm on Facebook, same thing, Talon SEI, Instagram, Talon_SEI, Twitter, which I don't even really use, but _SEI, same thing on there.
I feel like a lot of us just have a Twitter as like a soak up. It's like an extra sponge.
Yeah, like I use it to talk with my friends, but like I don't even put it in the description of my videos, but it's there if you want to talk to me. I'll reply to you on Twitter. How about that? Tweet at
awesome,
me.
Dude. I appreciate you coming on. It's been a long time coming, and I think it was a good conversation. I think it's been really interesting to try and get to know you and share you with the audience. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. Johnny, you want to say anything, buddy?
Big thank you to our special guest, Talon Sei. I know we just pumped his channel, but really go follow him. It's really interesting. I think it's one of the maybe one of the most unique gun channels. I don't even call him a gun channel, but you know, somebody who's, I would say, a Venn diagram. Like he's got a foot in our world, and I kind of vicariously have a foot in the skateboard world just a little bit. So a big thank you to Talon Sei. And I also want to end with 2 words. laser beams.
All right, that's it. Thanks as always. Be sure to check us out on patreon.com/The Gun Collective. Be sure to get subscribed to Talon Sei, and we will see you guys next time. I don't know when that'll be, but we'll see you soon.